Hello everyone, DM Gashbad here, and we are back with Round 4, Game 2 of our Warhammer Fantasy Battles 8th Edition Path to Glory campaign. Path to Glory was a supplement produced for Warhammer Fantasy Battles 6th Edition, which we have loosely adapted to 8th Edition. It involves a bunch of Chaos warbands battling each other in the Chaos Waste for the attention of their chosen gods. As always, I'm using the Louts of Chaos. Loud, boorish, rude, devoted Khorne worshippers. My champion is Sir Osis of the Liver. He's mounted on a barded chaos steed. He comes with a shield and a throwing axe. He also has the Axe of Khorne for killing blow. He has the Mark of Khorne for frenzy, Blessing of Khorne for an automatic dispel. He's up to weapon skill 8, strength and toughness 5 with 4 attacks. He has a deafening bellow, which gives opponents -1 to hit him on the charge, and horrible scars, which causes fear. With him is the Booze Hound, a Chaos Hound, Scalding Blood Porridge, my Chaos Ogre with an additional hand weapon, Herald Drownsodden, my Chosen with additional hand weapon, the Marinated Meat Shields, 3 Marauders with shields, the Legbiters, 4 Marauders with additional hand weapon, an unnamed Bloodletter, Dunschlitz the Minotaur with his Great Axe, the Pitmen, 2 Chaos Warriors with shields, and Dr. Heineken's Monster, a Chaos Spawn with the Mark of Khorne. This time we are again facing off against the Nurgle Warband. The Nurgle Warband has had a tough post-game for most of this campaign, and they are a very small but fairly elite group of warriors. That said, again, their champion has been doing very well. He's mounted on a Bardus Chaos Steed, he has a shield which he rarely uses because he does have a great weapon. As for advancements, I don't remember everything, but he just picked up Cloud of Flies, which gives him -1 to hit. Small complaint here. On the Khorne mutations sheet that I roll on, the best mutation I can get is Deafening Bellow, which gives -1 to hit when I charge. The Nurgle champion just got an advancement which gives him -1 to be hit all the time. He also has Frenzy. At a minimum, he is wounded at a 3+. He is Toughness 5 with 4 wounds, 3 or 4 attacks, I don't really remember. He causes fear, he has a 5+ ward save, and unfortunately he is immune to Killing Blow. That's really disappointing. Killing Blow was pretty much the last tool my champion had to try and even the odds against most of these other Chaos champions. That said, he's not as ridiculous as the Tzeentch champion. We still have a game. Accompanying this murder machine is a single Plague Bearer, 2 Trolls in individual units, and 5 Chaos Warriors with great weapons. I think one of them might have a flail, but generally they got great weapons. And that's it. Here's the board all set up and ready to play. The scenario, as before, is take and hold. If we haven't established a winner by the end of round 10, the victor is the one with the most models on the top 2 levels of that central hill. My opponent has gone for a pretty straightforward approach. His guys are just on the opposite side of the hill, looking to seize it with both hands. The only exception is his Plague Bearer, which is off on the left-hand flank. I don't really love the idea of hurtling my guys into the teeth of that mess, so I have gone for a flanking approach. Sir Osis is over on the right with the Legbiters. Ideally, I'm going to go and chew through his troops on the flank and then see if I can't gather everybody up in one place to try and deal with his champion. My other heavy hitters in the form of Dunschlitz and Scalding are over on the left, and I've left a scattering of troops in the center, the Pitmen, Herald, Dr. Heineken's Monster, the Bloodletter, the Booze Hound, and the Meat Shields. 10 rounds is a long time. I think I'm just going to dance around until I get an opportunity. I win the dice roll to decide who goes first in this first round, and I let my opponent come to me. It looks like he has come to about the same conclusion as I have in regards to the vulnerability of his Chaos Champion, and so he just plows straight ahead and claims the hill. One of his trolls fails stupidity, the other comes to join him on the right. The Chaos Warriors shuffle off to the right, and the Plague Bearer moves towards the center. In my turn, I don't really want that Chaos Champion to just go marauding through the center of my forces, picking off units as he pleases, so the Booze Hound moves in a diverting position right in front of the guy. The Spawn shuffles up straight into the center of the board. The rest of my central and left forces just reposition to try and countercharge or redirect the Chaos Champion depending on what he does. Finally, Sir Osis and the Legbiters over on the right continue their flanking maneuver. Sir Osis actually turns all the way around so they can't be frenzy baited by those Chaos Warriors. There's just a couple too many of them for me to feel comfortable about charging into. Round 2, and the Nurgle champion starts things off by charging my Chaos Hound. The troll at the top of the hill also seizes the initiative and goes thundering into Dr. Heineken's Monster. The Chaos Warriors more or less stay put, happy to try to ward off my Chaos champion. and the Plague Bear and the remaining troll move towards the hill. In close combat, the Chaos Hound does not get through the toughness and armor of the Chaos Champion with its 1 strength 3 attack, and is butchered in return. Since the champion is frenzied, he has no choice but to overrun into the back of the troll. For its part, the troll does pretty well. It puts 2 wounds onto the spawn and only takes 1 in return. Troll wins the combat by a lot, but the spawn's unbreakable, so we're going to stay there another round. Well, my turn, and the Nurgle champion is sitting on the hill with its flank pointed towards the Minotaur and the Ogre. It's not a great combat, but I don't think I'm going to get a much better opportunity than this. So both of them charge the Nurgle champion, they both make it in. I don't think I'm going to kill him, but since the Minotaur has strength 7 great weapon attacks, and I will get to strike because I'll be going at the same time as the Nurgle champion with his great weapon, I might put a wound or 2 on the guy, which could conceivably give my champion an opportunity to finish him off in a later round. Also, with a charge and a flank, I'm up to combat resolution. If the Nurgle champion bombs his rolls, there is a chance I could break him. The rest of my guys shuffle around. They don't have much hope of helping out the Minotaur and the Ogre, but if that troll and spawn combat is still going on, they might be able to charge in and help that out later on. Sir Osis surges around on the right, staring at the flank of the Chaos Warriors. The Legbiters move up between that pillar and the forest. If the Chaos Warriors go after them, that's fine. Taking them out of the combat for a while would be a good thing, and I think it's worth sacrificing those Marauders to do it. In addition, because those Chaos Warriors have great weapons, that's a lot of attacks coming in from those Marauders. Hopefully I can pull 1 or 2 of them down. That would be nice. In the shooting phase, Sir Osis goes and hucks his throwing axe at the Chaos Warriors and does real well. Needing a 5 to hit, he takes one of their heads off. Unfortunately, I realize in a later round that I shouldn't have done this. I am pretty sure that in this turn, Sir Osis marched. Even with throwing axes, you can't fire them after you've marched. We're going to fix this and return the Chaos Warrior to the unit eventually. Oh well, it was still a nice shot. In close combat, Dr. Heineken's monster puts another wound on the troll, who completely fails to hurt the spawn. That means the troll loses combat by 1 and breaks. Not only that, the spawn runs him down and plows into the front of the Chaos Champion. He's going to get an opportunity to fight again this combat round, which is real nice. I don't think there's a lot of chance he's going to add in a lot to this. I think there's only about a 1 in 30 chance any given strength 4 attack is going to hurt this guy. But hey, the spawn is already doing better than I thought he would. So on to the main event. The first one to strike is actually the Chaos Steed. Unfortunately, it goes and kicks to the side and knocks a wound off of Dunschlitz. That is unhelpful. I need to take as few wounds as possible if I'm going to win this combat. Scalding the Ogre and the Spawn both get to attack. Neither of them cause any damage to the Chaos Champion, and so we're on to the Great Weapon Wielders. Dunschlitz does okay and puts 1 wound onto the Chaos Champion. 1 down, 3 to go. Unfortunately, my opponent then goes and does the math and realizes that if he kills off Dunschlitz, he's going to tie the combat, keep the frenzy, and not have to take a break test. And since Dunschlitz is the greatest threat to him, that's what he does. Comes up with the hits, Dunschlitz dies, drawn combat, on to the next round. On the right, the Chaos Warriors go and charge the Legbiters. The thing I didn't consider when I set up this charge was that central piece of terrain. With the wheel that the Chaos Warriors had to make, they ended up clipping my Marauders, and only 1 model is in combat. That's disappointing. I'm okay if the Marauders all die, I'm okay if they break and are run down, but I would have really liked for them to have gotten all of their attacks to give them as great a possible chance of kicking to death one of these warriors on their way in. In the center, the Plague Bearer tries to get in on the action, charging the Ogre. Unfortunately, the distance was too great and he doesn't make it. The Troll on the top of the hill does manage to charge the flank of the Spawn. My opponent did have a little bit of a consideration on these charges. It is possible that giving these weaker models, not terribly weak, but still a little weaker than the Nurgle champion, might actually give me enough combat resolution to stay in the fight or to even win if the dice for his champion go really poorly. In the end, there wasn't much risk. He went for the charges. Plague Bear failed. Spawn made it in. That's it for movement, on to hand-to-hand. Sure enough, the Chaos Warriors managed to kill off 1 of the Marauders, and I don't cause any damage to him. The Marauders break and are run down. It does take the Warriors off further to the right, which is a good thing, so I guess I can't complain too much. In the big combat on the hill, again, the ogre and the spawn get to attack first. There's very little chance of me hurting the champion, so the spawn's attacks go into the troll. It's been rolling pretty well for its random attacks, and it does so again, putting 2 wounds on the troll. Nice job. The ogre fails to hurt the champion, and in return, they are both cut down. The troll makes a long overrun and ends up in hand-to-hand combat with the meat shields over on the left. The Nurgle champion is happy with where he is and doesn't bother to reform. Back to my turn, and I'm going to try and save the meat shields. The pitman and herald both charge the flank of the troll. He's only got 1 wound left. This should be the end of him. We also have a demon versus demon combat on the hill when my bloodletter charges into the plague bearer. See how that goes. And off on the right, Sir Osis is just drunkenly stumbling around over there, trying to look for an opportunity. Things start off pretty well. The bloodletter fails to do any damage on the charge, but doesn't take any in return from the plague bearer. Fortunately, he does win the combat, and the plague bearer fails its instability roll and dissolves into a puddle of goo. The bloodletter reforms to face the Nurgle champion, which would be a lot more intimidating if that Nurgle champion wasn't immune to Killing Blow. In the troll combat, I get off to a shaky start. I've got a bunch of attacks from the Chosen and the Chaos Warrior, but none of them manage to find their mark. Fortunately, one of the Marauders does the job for me and pulls the last wound off of the troll, winning that combat for me. My opponent's force is reduced to just the Chaos Warriors and the Nurgle champion. If it comes down to numbers on the hill, I'm in good shape. As such, all my guys do a little victory reformation and face said hill. Nurgle turn and his champion moves all the way over on the left to get my guys in line of sight. The Chaos Warriors that chased down the leg biters move back towards the hill, and it's back to my turn. And here's what we're going to do. We're going to stay out of the line of sight of that Nurgle champion. I've still got time. It's just the bottom of round 4. I'm going to avoid losing any more guys and try and pile in the numbers on that hill at the end. Sir Osis is disappointed that due to a technicality, his axe throw from the beginning didn't count, so he moves back to the flank of the Chaos Warriors to try it again, and sure enough he does. In the shooting phase, he picks off that Chaos Warrior again. This one will stick. Back to the Nurgle turn, and the Chaos Warriors are still feeling pretty confident. They reform to face Sir Osis. The Nurgle champion doesn't like how everyone's dancing around him on the left, so he moves back up to the center of the hill and points towards my remaining infantry. Over to my turn. I'm sorry I didn't take a picture of this. My infantry do continue to dance out of the line of sight of the Nurgle champion. Don't want to get charged by him, thank you. And over on the right, Sir Osis fails his frenzy check and goes hurtling into the Chaos Warriors. Not what I wanted to do. What I'd actually have preferred to have done is to continue to move around their flank and toss throwing axes at them until I brought their numbers down to a more reasonable amount. However, Sir Osis has 5 Strength 5 attacks hitting on 3s plus Horsey's Strength 4 attack. He's got a 1-up armor save, and the Chaos Warriors need 5s to hit me. I'm probably going to do okay on offense, pick off 2 or 3 of them, and there's an outside chance they could sneak through enough wounds to kill me, but it's pretty unlikely. So close combat comes around. The Chaos Warriors passed their fear test. If they had failed, that would have been nice. That would have meant that they would have been hitting me on 6s. And then the dice gods go and very rudely slam the door right in my face. Sir Osis only hits with 2 of his attacks and then go to wound, and I roll 2 2s, so he causes no damage whatsoever. Horsey is likewise unsuccessful in bringing down any of the Chaos Warriors, and in return, I've got 7 attacks coming back at me. Hitting on 5s and wounding on 2s, they manage to get 2 wounds through, and I'm looking at 2 4-up armor saves, and I fail both of them. There go my 2 wounds. Sir Osis is dead. That sucked. There goes my remaining chance of taking out the Nurgle champion. I'm a lot less confident about how this game is going. Nurgle turn and the Chaos Warriors march around that side of the hill. The Nurgle champion continues to try and chase down my guys. Bottom of 6, and my guys continue to not want that to happen. The ones who can march move up onto the hill, and the ones who can't just move around to the Nurgle champion's flank. The meat shields have actually had to go and hide behind the hill in order to get out of line of sight. I still have more guys than the Nurgle player. I can still win through the victory conditions if I can manage to get onto the hill by the end of the game, and since I do have the last turn, it's not impossible. Nurgle turn, the champion turns back towards the hill, and the Chaos Warriors go and hop up onto the top level. We've decided that the skull face on the side just counts as open terrain to make things simple. So back to me, and I've got this opportunity. I could charge the Chaos Warriors with the Pitmen and the Bloodletter. That's a fairly close, swingy combat. There's a fear check, there's armor saves and ward saves. My guys get to strike first, and if they can kill off 2 of the Chaos Warriors before he gets to strike, I probably win, and it's going to be real hard for my opponent to outnumber me at the end of the game. If I only do 1 casualty, then that's bad news. I probably lose a big chunk of my remaining numbers. In the end, I decide to go for it, partially because I don't think I can keep avoiding this Nurgle champion forever, and so I want to do something about his remaining troops. So when they both go, Harold Drownsodden continues to shout rude things at the Nurgle champion at his flank, and the meat shields pop back up over the hill. On to hand-to-hand combat, and the Chaos Warriors pass their fear test. And remember how I was worried about whether I was going to do 1 or 2 wounds? Well, I needn't have concerned myself. I did 0 wounds. So frustrating. These Chaos Warriors have absorbed 6 Strength 5 attacks, 5 Strength 4 attacks, and 2 Strength 3 attacks, and not taken a single casualty from hand-to-hand combat. In return, they put all of their attacks except for 1 into the Pitmen and kill both of those guys off. I don't make any of my parry saves. The Bloodletter doesn't take any wounds, and thankfully does pass his instability test to hang in there another round. The Warriors do reform to get all of their attacks on him in the next round, though. Nurgle turn, and the champion just moves to face the meat shields, which is my largest unit remaining on the table. And the Bloodletter does finally get his act together and cut down 1 of the Chaos Warriors. Unfortunately, he is cut to ribbons in return. That didn't go how I wanted it to. So with 4 guys to my opponent's 4 guys, it's very unlikely I'm going to win. However, I'm not in any immediate danger with my remaining troops, so I'm going to hang in the game a little bit longer, see if there's an opportunity for me to maybe get into a position to at least tie the game. So again, we continue to scoot around the flanks of the Nurgle champion, throwing vegetables at him, and it's back to the Nurgle player's turn. So Nurgle player's round 9, he moves his champion behind my Marauders again on the hill on the left. The Warriors stay planted on the hill facing off against Harold, and it's back to me. So I have a nice think about it, and I think there is an opportunity for me. It's a little chancy, but if it pays off, not only might I be able to prevent my opponent from winning, but I might actually get the victory myself. The Meat Shield Marauders angle themselves to the left of the Chaos Warriors and towards the hill. Harold goes and sneaks around the cliff face out of sight. The idea with this maneuver is that if my opponent ignores the Marauders and simply moves his champion onto the hill, that's 4 of his guys. On my last round, I can move 4 of my guys onto the hill, and we draw. If the Chaos Warriors go and charge the Marauders, then that is fine. The Marauders can hold, the Warriors will be off the top 2 levels, and worst come to worst, it'll be my chosen and his champion on the hill, again for a draw. The more likely sequence of events, however, is that the Chaos Warriors stay where they are and the Nurgle champion charges the Marauders, in which case I will flee probably onto the central hill. If I can roll far enough, and if the Nurgle champion rolls low enough, then I'll end up on the hill and the Nurgle champion won't. That gives me an opportunity to rally on 7 or less in my round, planting them on the hill. Harold goes and joins them. That'll give me 4 guys to my opponent's 3, giving me the win. Plenty that can go wrong, but I'm glad I stayed in the game. So last Nurgle turn, and sure enough, the champion goes and spurs its steed into the Marauders, who go and flee. When all is said and done, we end up far enough away that the Nurgle champion needs a 9 or more on his dice in order to make contact with them. And unfortunately, he does. He runs down all of my Marauders. There goes my last chance of victory. Harold is the last man on the field and decides, well, that's it. He gives up on the final round of the game. I lose. So obviously that didn't go the way that I was hoping, but it was a fantastic game. It was really tactical, and I did feel like I was in with a shot up till the very end. Extremely disappointed with that showing of dice from Sir Osis. If I had been able to kill off even a couple of those Chaos Warriors, I would have had a better chance of just dancing around and outnumbering my opponent at the very end of the game. In retrospect, I probably should have put Sir Osis in the center to try and countercharge the Chaos Champion. If he had been in there with the flank charge and the impact hits and everything, maybe we would have won that combat, or maybe not. I don't necessarily think that I had a bad strategy, but I'm just trying to get these long odds to go as much in my favor as possible. To give an example of how little regard the Nurgle champion had for my army, he was considering at one point parking himself on the top of the hill after he'd taken the wound from the Minotaur and Ogre combat and turning all the way around away from Sir Osis, giving him that charge, just trying to tempt me into it, expecting to fully kill my champion in the ensuing combat. He didn't end up doing it, but it does show me that he had mapped it out and figured that there was very little risk to him. Unfortunately, the post-game does not go much better for me. I only score 2 favor points and my opponent scores a massive 18. Because his warband was so small, he was more than 10 favor points below my favor rating, meaning he got an extra 5 for playing the game, an extra 5 for winning the game, plus all of the bonuses on top of it. Sir Osis manages to make a full recovery, which is good, but I've got 14 casualty rolls to make, and I really beat the odds on that one by rolling 4 1s on the dice. So I spend 4 of my favor points to re-roll those, and I still end up with 2 1s, meaning I lose one of the meat shields and my newly painted bloodletter. Absolutely brutal. I do believe that the Nurgle warband also took some casualties when all was said and done. But with 18 favor points, he's got more than enough to make up for it, whereas I feel like I am struggling. There is another game to be played in this round. Sir Osis does have an opportunity to redeem himself. Hopefully that battle report will come before too long. Thank you for watching. If you have any questions, observations, or concerns, go ahead and leave them in the comment section below. I will see you on the next one.